Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hello. Let's go. Let's just get right into it. All right. How were the Jacobites defeated? Culloden Battlefield Tour. My name is Connor. I'm from New England. I like to learn about stuff. Let's go.
The last pitched battle in British history, at which the Jacobite cause was snuffed out for good and the Hanoverian British Army was victorious. With these blue flags here, this is
If you aren't ready to learn, you're in the wrong class.
the Jacobite front line. Note, I do not say Scottish because there were English troops in the Jacobite army, predominantly Highland troops, but there were English troops, there were some French troops, and over there in the British army, there were also regiments recruited in Scotland. There were Scotsmen fighting on both sides of this battle. Early morning of the 16th of April, 1746, about 6,000 Jacobites were gathered here. Approximately 6,000 British troops marched in from that direction, and the scene was set for the final battle of this
Very interesting landscape.
of Britain's last civil war, effectively. The battle started right here with a few small Jacobite cannons firing some shots at the British army, and that provoked quite a response. Big cannon firing cannonballs this way, killing whole files of men dead, and at which point these men charged. So Highlanders were jogging across this battlefield. It was wet underfoot. They were bunching. They lacked coordination, but they started their Highland shriek as they reached about 300 metres before the British ranks. Because at that point, 250 metres, the British were able to load their cannons with canister shot. Canisters packed with musket balls, turning each cannon into a giant shotgun. And as they blasted off, about 40 seconds between each shot, it's quite difficult terrain here still.
Yeah.
As they blasted those cannons, whole groups of Highlanders would be obliterated. The Highlanders charged forward. Then at about 50 metres from the British line, the British were able to start firing musket volleys. They're the most highly trained
I love what they're trying to do here. It's so simple but effective. The kind of gunshot, whatever, the way he's kind of stammering, the way they're following him. I just want to say, canister shot sounds terrifying. A single cannonball was terrifying enough. Imagine just like looking over and everything, like your guy's there, and then you look back and someone's just gone, or someone just like gets. I can't imagine the damage 10 kilogram, 20 pound, maybe 30 pound ball would do. But I love what they're doing here.
The British were able to start firing musket volleys. They're the most highly trained infantrymen in Western Europe by this point. They've been drilled again and again and again. And they blasted musket shots. They were standing in three lines. 1, 2, 3, 6 seconds between each volley. And still the Highlanders came. At about 50 metres from the British lines, the Highlanders made a quick stand, took their muskets, fired a volley at the British, held them down, drew their long swords, and charged. I've come now to the British line. It is marked by these red flags stretching all the way down there. This is the very left end of the British line, and this, for various reasons, is where a massive spearhead of the Highlanders were heading, bearing down upon. There was a cannon there manned by a Sergeant Bristow, and he waited till the Highlanders were at point blank range. You can see the whites of their eyes, and then he put his slow match on the gunpowder on top of the cannon's breech, and it blasted out a lot of canister, those musket balls, tearing through Highland ranks. And then the Highlanders were upon them. A British source said it was like watching a pack of hungry wolves descending upon them. The Highlanders fired that one last volley, threw their muskets down, drew their broadswords and came in. Now the British here were able to fire one shot every 20 seconds, each rank. So each rank would fire a shot, then the next rank, then the next rank, keeping up a fusillade that was cutting the Highlanders down as they got closer. But eventually the Highlanders closed to hand combat. They had their targes, their little shields. Their plan was they knock the British musket and bayonet away and then go in with their longsword, causing horrible slashing injuries. The British had to stand their ground. They had they outnumbered the Highlanders, and each of their muskets had around around 16-inch steel bayonet, sharp, razor-sharp bayonet on them. So it became a brutal hand-to-hand battle. Bayonets and muskets against the Highlanders' longsword and also short stabbing knife. The regiment here basically imploded. The Highlanders smashed through it and moved.
There's the thing about a bayonet or a spear when you're going against a sword and shield. I might think I'd want to have the longer bayonet or a spear at first, but as soon as that's sort of knocked out of the way and you don't get them, I feel like you're almost screwed. No, I mean.
On to the second line, but the Highlanders found themselves in a salient. They pushed the British line back here, which meant the British soldiers there, and to a certain extent there, were able to fire on them from three sides. So in this appalling crossfire, despite the stunning bravery and martial prowess of the Highlanders, they were hacked down and shot down in their hundreds in the space of just a few minutes. The commanding officer of this regiment had his hand chopped off as he was clinging desperately onto the regimental colours to make sure that his unit didn't have the dishonour of their flag being taken away from them. But on the whole, the Highlanders were outnumbered, outgunned, and they were scythed down here. Elsewhere along the line, the Highlanders never even reached the British front line. They were just pummeled by the relentless professional musket volleys and cannon fire and fell back across the field. Here too, finally, the Highlanders realised they were defeated and they turned tail and fled. The defeat turned into a rout as British soldiers surged across the battlefield, bayoneting the wounded, catching up with Highland troops and murdering them in cold blood. It would have been a dismal, dismal sight, this battlefield.
McLachlan, Atoll Highlander.
Battle was over around about an hour after it started. It was the decisive end to the Jacobite cause. After generations of scheming, rebellions and civil wars, the Stuart family would never again make a serious attempt to claim the throne of Britain. The Highlanders, the men that had died for them, were buried where they fell, in these long burial mounds here that helped to make this one of the most special and important battlefields in Britain. It was the last time two armies fought on British soil, and 100 years or so after the battle, these stones were placed on the mounds with the names of the various clans on them, and people still come and leave flowers and mementos on these stones.
Your history is so long and rich and dense. Do you guys, do any of you guys, like, are any of you like into archaeology or whatnot? Over here in North America, I've said before, there's Native American tribes and we have early settlers and you can find certain artifacts from that. But even, the two world wars that they happened over in Europe or in Asia. And so as much as I would love to go and like dig stuff up and find stuff, there just isn't the amount of history for stuff to fall. And so over in England, in Europe more broadly, you must have so much little sites that you can go around and just dig and see if you can find anything. It could be Roman, it could be it could be from Viking invasions from the French, or just from English civil wars. You just have such a long history on such a small island that I would love to just go around to a site and kind of dig around and see what I could find. Awesome.
The Jacobite uprising of 1745 to 6 had shaken the British state to its core. It could never be allowed to happen again. And the British government took measures up here to ensure that it didn't.
I love this stuff. I love this channel. All right. Yeah. Merry Christmas, guys. Happy December. I'll be back soon. Hope you're all doing well. If not, that sucks. Keep your head up. You'll be good soon. Don't worry. Emotions are fickle, my friend. See you next time.